Welcome back to Undefendable. We are going to be doing a Dice Throne competitive meta tier list. I'm just going to go alphabetical here. I'll try and give some explanations or reasonings as to why I did what I did or what I chose. But let's hop right in. If you want to hop to the end and see the final list, go ahead. But I think it might be valuable to see why I put specific heroes where, and yeah. So let's start off with, again, it's alphabetical. We're going to start off with the Artificer. I'm going to put him at high A tier. Really strong character into some matchups, but he does have some weaknesses into characters that are hyper aggro. Really good economy, really good just all-around damage, but he does take some time to build up, and his defense isn't the strongest. So heroes like Iceman, Spider-Man, ones that are hyper aggressive, etc., are typically going to be able to run him down quickly. So I put him at high A because he is very good, but he does have some meta matchups that he just doesn't play well into. Barbarian, unfortunately, he's going to be in C or D. I'm going to try and not put anyone in D, except for maybe, Huntress. But Barbarian, I actually really enjoyed playing Barbarian. He has a really, really simple, straightforward game plan. Get sixes and hit really hard. But he lacks economy, he lacks CP, he lacks card draw, which in a lot of matchups is going to be challenging because there's going to be heroes that can just mess around with your dice, and a lot of times you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So he honestly can be in the A tier if he gets the right cards and you're just rolling hot. He's one of the most powerful heroes in the game. But just because he lacks card draw, he lacks, CP gain, he lacks a lot of other tools, like his defense is okay. He basically just hits really, really hard, and if you don't get the right things, you're going to struggle. Black Panther is interesting. I would probably put him at like mid-tier, like mid-B, low-B, high-B, depending on the matchups. Again, right now the meta is coming off very aggressive. You want to hit back with your defense. So if you're playing champions where they're hitting you back with isolated damage like Thor, or hitting back with defense like Pyromancer, or inflicting burn like Jean Grey, he's going to be able to build up his kinetic energy really, really fast and explode a lot more in a game. And right now, I think in the meta, he may even be someone you would bring with your 3, just in case you come across a hero like that. But I think just generally across the board, matchup-wise, maybe not a pick 3 counter pick. He probably falls right into the B tier pretty easily. Black Widow, I'm going to put it high A, maybe even low S tier. Very, very strong. Has the opportunity to avoid damage very, very nicely with agility. Her time bombs, the way that she can hit really, really hard. She has card draw. She struggles a bit early game. But once she gets going, she is one of the most punishing heroes in the game. I would probably even put her at low S tier, but that's kind of where she's at right now. I'm going to keep her actually in the S tier, just because she is that good. She really is. If you pilot her well, you're going to do really, really well with her. Captain Marvel, probably high C, low B. She just doesn't quite do it for me, and this might be a personal, opinion. I'm actually undefeated with her. I've only played 3 games with her, but I am 3-0. But I think against S and A tier, unless it's a complete counter matchup, she's just going to struggle. And she just doesn't quite have what it takes right now in the current format to beat S and A tiers consistently, or even at a 50%. So I'm going to put her at C tier. I would even probably put her below Barbarian because I like the Barbarian. I'm moving the Barbarian to low B just because I like him. Cursed Pirate, this is an easy S tier. And you're going to notice a lot of S tier heroes are strictly based on their defense. So right now, really strong defense almost automatically puts you into the S tier. If you can roll your defense and have it just go off a couple times, you're doing more damage into every hero that doesn't have a strong defense, right? Cursed Pirate just kind of has the whole package. She can stall games out. She can gain CP. She can steal CP. She can discard your cards. She can draw a lot of cards. She can hit back with defense. She can hit hard with her own attacks. She has some undefendable. She has really good card options. So this is just all around one of the strongest characters. In a game where you're playing heroes that can stall the game out, Cursed Pirate can be a little bit weaker, just because once she flips to the actual Cursed Pirate, she starts taking exponential damage. But in the current meta right now, she's going to be S tier. Doctor Strange, I'd put him in the B tier. I'd probably put him right here. I think he's above Black Panther, but I don't think he's in the A tier. Really good card draw. He has some really good control elements. He has some really aggressive plays and a really cool kit with how his cards interact with what he wants to do. That said, his role objectives and some of his stuff feels a little underpowered compared to some of the A and S tier characters, but he is still respectable. If you see him across from you, he can counter a lot of heroes. He can do a lot of things to make him hard to play against, and he can hit hard when he needs to. So I'd probably get him right in that B tier. Gunslinger's interesting. I actually really enjoy the Gunslinger. I have a very good record with the Gunslinger. If you get the bounty on and you get the pistol whip down, you can continually keep knocking them down and then re-rolling your reloads. She can be sneaky. I think the biggest thing for her is a lot of it is RNG. Like if you're not outrolling your opponent, you just don't get her maximum value. But even when you're not getting maximum value or you're only getting it 50% of the time, I still think I would slide her into the B tier. She can, again, be a little card dependent and not have a ton of card draw. So that kind of limits her to where she falls in. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. I think this is more of a fair representation of where these guys land, because B tier is someone I would still expect to see at locals and at a hero that I would not want to sit across from and play against. The C tier is kind of like, okay, I'm probably going to win this one unless I get completely blacked out and I just can't do what I need to do. So high C tier for Gunslinger, maybe low B, but right now, just with her kit and the current meta, that's kind of where I'm going to slot her. But I really enjoy her playstyle. I think the only hero I'm going to put in D tier, and I don't want to put my foot in my mouth because I may put another one here, is the Huntress. She's just underwhelming. The bleeds aren't very good. Her role objectives are way more challenging than they need to be. Naira is a cool mechanic, but again, it's just her whole kit, her defense, everything that she tries to do just seems underwhelming in the current compared to other heroes. She just doesn't do it for me, so I'm going to put her in the D tier. Krampus, I've honestly never played a game with Krampus. I played against him a couple of times, and he's okay, but he never really seems to perform at the same level of an S tier or an A tier. So I'm probably, if I were to take a guess, I'd put him in the B tier, maybe low B. But I don't know. I've never played a game with him. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to put him in low B, just in case you fast forward to the end, you can kind of see where he falls in. He does have kind of cool kits. He has these little companions that pop out and can do cool things. He has a little bit of control elements with the coal and inflicting damage based on that. So he has a lot of cool stuff, and he can pop off. But again, his consistency, I think, is where he's going to fall off compared to some of these higher ones. Loki is going to probably be low A tier. And I say this because a lot of these S and A tier champions have a set way of going about how they want to kill you, and Loki can counter a lot of that with Spellbound. So Spider-Man, he can land Spellbound and block your combo, so you're completely just not getting the value you want. Same thing with Iceman. So Loki, I'm going to put in like mid-A, low-A, just because he can be a really good one to bring if you know how to play him and what your matchups are. You can tend to do what you need to do in your matchups and get the job done with Loki. He has ways to mitigate damage with his illusions. He has ways to heal and deal damage. But this is even an interesting one. Loki versus Black Panther is interesting, right? Because if Loki's putting the what's it called? Not the gifts, but like the the one where like if you roll, you take 2 damage, right? Black Panther's going to be gaining kinetic energy pretty nicely against Loki. So that's like kind of you can start to see some of these matchups and how they funnel in. And maybe I'll do, if you guys are interested, like a best matchup guide against X hero, who I wouldn't want to be across from and who I would. But long story short, Loki, even in this matchup, Loki versus Black Widow, Loki could put Spellbound onto Widow's Gauntlet later in the game. And then it really kind of limits Black Widow's output. I mean, it's still probably in Black Widow's favor, but that's kind of some of the things you can do with Loki to get the game over the line and then illusion your way out of damage and things like that. So Loki is going to go low A tier for me. Monk is going to be high A tier. I kind of want to put him in like the lowest of S, but I think he's going to slot right into A. Because S tier is just the elites. It's the 4 or 5 that you don't want to see that are just really, really good. Monk is really, really good. He's really, really consistent. He does a lot of things well. He can smack really hard. But he's not, I think he's really well tuned. He has a good game plan. He's flexible. So I'm going to put him at A. Like, I don't want to sit across from Monk in a lot of situations, but he's also not one where I don't think I can't beat him with other heroes or even some of these B tier heroes if I get the right cards and the right draws. So for me, Monk is very, very good. I'm going to put him in A tier, probably mid to high A tier. Moon Elf, you know, I think she's better than Barbarian, probably better than Gunslinger, but I don't think she makes her way into the B tier. She has a really good defense. If you can upgrade and find the right cards for her, she can be really strong. That said, she doesn't really have good ways to get CP or get cards. She doesn't really have good ways to do things. You just kind of have to roll with it, and then you run out of CP, and then your game just kind of stalls out. And then you just hope you can get the evades, and you hope you can prevent half damage with your defense rolls. So for me, like, Moon Elf is good. Like, she's someone where if someone brought her and piloted her really, really well, she'd probably be mid-B. But I think if you're just not playing her a lot and you don't know your matchups, I'm going to put her in high C. Ninja. Ninja is, again, right up here in high A, potentially S. She's just kind of like everything you don't want to see when you have those heavy damage characters, so like Wolverine or ones where you can hit, because she gets the smoke bombs and the delayed poisons, and her whole plan just is very different from a lot of other ones. She wants to get the delayed poisons on you, get smoke screens, and then kind of like hit you with undefendable. And I think that's a really good reason why she's maybe even high A. These two could go back and forth, but she's either high A or low S, because she has so many options of getting around your defensive roles with her undefendables and delayed poisons and ninjutsus, etc. So she's very sneaky. She's like a ninja. She's very good. So she's either going to be here or she's going to be here or here. That's kind of where I have her right now in my tier list. Paladin, again, I'm probably like bottom of S, top of A. You can go games against Paladin. He just has so many tools and kits. His role objectives are hard. He doesn't have a basic attack, but his defense is really, really strong. He's susceptible to status effects, so like a lot of the meta matchups aren't really going to mess with his statuses unless they get the cards they need. He draws a lot of cards. He has a lot of CPs. He can reroll with a lot of chances. He has ways to heal. He has ways to make attacks undefendable. His ultimate gives him a second life. So a well-piloted paladin is going to be S tier. So, and you could probably make that same argument for Monk, Ninja, and Artificer. I think Paladin, just his baseline abilities are just really, really good. You just need to know how to pilot him a little bit, and you're gonna be a top player. And this is going to be one that's going to get banned a lot. So I'm going to put him there. Pyromancer is interesting. A lot of people love her because she's just so bursty and just damn. She's a glass cannon, right? You're just going straight aggro the whole time, trying to whittle down your opponent as fast as you can. She hits hard. She hits hard on her defense. She has undefendable damage. She just has a lot of ways to deal damage and hit really, really hard and well. So she is A tier. I'm not going to put her in S tier. I'm not even going to put her at the top of A tier because I do think she has some really tough matchups. But she's somewhere kind of right in this mix. If I had to pick, she'd kind of be right in here for the A tier. Very good character, but definitely counterable, and you know, her role objectives aren't hard either, right? That's another thing is rolling with her. You're probably going to whiff not very often, which again kind of makes Paladin a little bit more tough because he has a higher whiff rate because of his role objectives, right? So that's something to consider of maybe even bumping her up one. But right now I'm going to have her roughly here, maybe even slightly behind Monk, but definitely ahead of Loki. Samurai, he's just underwhelming. He actually might be in the D tier with Huntress, but definitely above Huntress. He can hit pretty hard. His role objectives aren't the easiest. His kit's kind of underwhelming. His defense isn't very good. He's also one of the only heroes in the game where he can actually negative status effect himself. Don't want to spend too much time on Samurai. Maybe low C, but I'm going to have him in D because he's just not that great. Santa Claus. Popo Gijo. I have him in front of Krampus, but not quite high B. I mean, these two, again, these could probably slot into here, but I think Krampus, not Krampus, I think Santa is an upgraded barbarian. In a way, they virtually do a lot of the same things, but Santa has some ways where he can manufacture out six rolls with his eggnogs and stack damage. He's honestly probably a C, probably like high C tier, but I just really enjoy playing with him. So I'm going to put him just in front of Krampus. He might even be just behind Krampus, but this is kind of the playlist of where I would have. I have a pretty good record with him. His problem is he just falls off. He either runs out of CP or runs out of cards, and then you're just trying to do what you do. But if you can pop off one alt a game with Santa, which is harder said than done, you tend to be on the up and up because it hits really hard, and then you go straight into another offensive roll phase. I can't remember the exact damage, but I think it's 15 undefendable damage, and then you start your roll phase over again. So Santa can pop off, can be very strong in games, but he is a little bit more CP and card reliant. And I just really like playing with him, so I'm going to put him right here, although I think he's probably more appropriately here. Actually, you know what? Let's slightly alter this. I'm going to make this more realistic based on what I think the actual meta is. Probably have it something like this. He's going to be high C. Scarlet Witch, she's fine. She's just underwhelming. Everything she wants to do, she does, and it just doesn't quite all get there. Her biggest downfall is she has no defense. Literally, whatever you swing at her with, whether it's defendable or undefendable, you have almost no fear of her. She basically is going to take the whole thing and not hit you back. She might do a little status effects on you or do this or do that. She might inflict reality warp, whatever. But most of the time, her kit's just wildly underwhelming. I'd probably put her above Captain Marvel, but below the rest of the people. I really want her to be good. I really do, but she's just underwhelming. She just doesn't have it. Seraphine, not sure. Never played a game with her. Only played against her once or twice. So, unfortunately, I can't speak to this one because I just never see her, which makes me believe she's in the C or D tier, but I'm not going to put her there because I don't know. Shadow Thief is easily S tier, probably the best character in the game. Just his ability to hit very hard, gain CP, steal CP, draw cards, and all of that just fills his kit of what he wants to do, which is change his CP into attack and hit you for that damage. He has ways to go into the shadows where your attacks just don't do anything to him. He can't take damage. He has an instant speed that does that. He's just broken. So if you see a Shadow Thief across from you, ban Shadow Thief. Unfortunately, most people are bringing like Shadow Thief, Curse Pirate, and Paladin, so you're going to have to face one of them anyway. But ban Shadow Thief. That's the best advice I could give if you want to play more competitively. Ban this character if you see him or her, because the character is just busted, in my opinion. Is it beatable? Yes, but they really, really have to screw up. and you have to play perfectly. That's basically, most of these S tiers is kind of how it is. You have to play perfectly, unless you're playing against them with an S or A tier. You have to play perfectly, and they kind of have to screw up or whiff. Okay, Spider-Man. I'm putting Spidey at the top of A. Love Spider-Man. When they did the rework where you can use this combo immediately, he's averaging 12 potential damage a turn. He has pretty decent defense where he can hit back for damage or potentially prevent damage. He has some flexibility, which is really cool. Some of his cards are pretty good. I would say he does lack card draw, and he tends to be CP hungry. Not hungry, but he lacks card draw, so you just kind of have to hit your stuff. But he's really good. Reason being is I think Spider-Man beats most of the A tier, but really struggles into the S tier. That's, I think, his biggest weakness. So Spider-Man beats Artificer. Ninja is probably 50-50. Spider-Man, in my opinion, beats Monk. Spider-Man beats Pyromancer. Spider-Man has a tough matchup into Loki. But as we build this list out, Spider-Man's very, very strong against opponents that just don't have really good defense, right? So not great defenses all down here. Spider-Man's going to win. All of these characters up here have really good defense or just really good kits. They're really consistent. Spider-Man struggles into those because most of his attacks are defendable, and he attacks twice per turn with combo. So they're getting to do their defense twice a turn, which really slows Spider-Man down and hurts. I still think he is going to be probably right in here somewhere. Top of A tier is where I would put Spider-Man. Tacticianer, I think he's going to be B tier. Full transparency, have never played with him, but I have played against him many times. He does seem rather underwhelming, but I have seen some of his stuff do really, really well. He has a really unique game plan with the tokens that he wants to generate and what he can do. So in certain matchups, he's going to be strong, but I don't think he's in low A. I wouldn't even have him in high B. I'd just have him kind of right in the B tier, maybe even high C tier, but just for the purposes of this video and what I've seen, I'm going to fill him in about right here. It feels fine. Thor. So Thor used to be mega S tier, but unfortunately they rebuffed him. Well, I guess fortunately, because he was overtuned. He was overpowered with how he could use electrokinesis. So with the nerf to him and the buff to Spider-Man, it really kind of hurt Thor a little bit. He is still good. He's just not broken. So he has pretty good defense, surprisingly sneaky defense, but against some of these other champions with good defense and just, very similar kits, Thor's whole thing is he throws the hammer to ping for damage and then retrieves it to gain some draw or to gain some damage back. So he's good. He's fun to play. He's unique, but I don't think he's an A. I think he's right in the middle of B tier right now. If you disagree, prove me wrong. Treant. Trent's going to be high C. Probably high C. This is probably right where I'd have him. Really unique kit. He gets these little forest companions, and then he uses them to do rerolls or to heal and draw and gain CP. I'd say the biggest thing for Treant is he just doesn't quite. He tries to inflict a lot of his damage through the barbed vine, which is like you inflict your opponent with a token, and then the more they roll, the more damage they take. So he heals. Basically, Treant is a very long game that eventually the Treant will lose. That's the best way I can describe Treant. He may be low B. You could potentially make an argument in certain matchup scenarios he could be low B. But I'm going to put him in high C just because I don't think most people would want to bring him to a competitive environment and face any of these champions, because I think anyone in S or A is going to run him right over. So, Vampire Lord is interesting. Vampire Lord is interesting. I either want her in low A or high B. And I think she just has she's just really flexible and adaptable. She can steal life. She can draw cards. I'd say her biggest weakness is Mesmerize, because that shit doesn't work. It's a token where you try to get them to re-roll, and it just never works. But the rest of her kit's pretty good. The Bloodlusts, and then the... oh, gosh, I'm spacing the other thing. Long story short, she's good. She's very good. She has card draw. She has heal. She has sustainability. Oh, bleed. She has bleed, which can be either really good or just non-impactful. So in a game where she's just kind of pumping and doing her thing, she's probably low A. If she's just kind of not quite doing it or piloted poorly, she's probably high B. So I'm probably going to leave her in high B. Man, that's tough. That's tough. Let's see where this funnels out, but I'll leave her in high B. Because, again, I do think she will fold to a lot of these potential A and S tiers, but I would be comfortable having her in low A as well. Cyclops, he's fine. He's probably high C, maybe low B, and that might offend some Cyclops loyalists, but he just doesn't quite do it for me personally. He has this whole mechanic where he tries to draw cards and find leadership cards and then use leadership cards to get perks off of what he's doing. And it just usually never really comes together. Everyone that I've played against, when I've played against Cyclops, like some of it's like, oh, wow, that was pretty cool. Oh, wow, that kind of worked. But most of the time, it's just never enough. So I'm going to have him in C, especially going into S and A tier heroes. He's just not quite going to be doing it. Deadpool is interesting. I am a Deadpool believer. I have him at low A, just because I think he is one of the most flexible and adaptable heroes. He has heals and sustains. He has card draw. He also has one of the coolest tokens in the game called Onomatopoeia. So if you know how to pilot Deadpool and you're able to do it well, I think Deadpool is a low A hero. And if you disagree with that, let me know. But you know, Deadpool can go into Loki just fine, Pyromancer fine, Monk fine, Spider-Man. So Deadpool's thing is that his defense isn't wildly good. His upgraded defense is way better, but that's the biggest thing. So like Spider-Man, Iceman, ones that hit really, really hard. He can hit really, really hard back, but I think that's his weakness into some of these S tiers is his defense is a little lacking. But other than his defense, his offensive role and economy and his systems are just so tuned in where you should be hitting large straights after your second turn, or maybe even after your first turn. You should be hitting large straights almost every turn after that with Onomatopoeia, which just makes him really, really strong. But then if you're not doing large straights, you have pure damage, you have undefendable, you have card draw. So I have him in low A, and I really like Deadpool there. Gambit is probably high A, low S. Just one of the most attack-heavy, just absolutely blow you out of the water characters. I mean, this guy, kind of like Wolverine, for instance, can just absolutely blow you out of the water if he's hitting his stride and doing his thing. I have him at high A. His defense is okay, but his big thing is like his offense and some of the things he can do to mitigate some of the status effects and things like that. He's just a really, really good and well-tuned character, in my opinion. So I have him kind of high A, kind of right in here, maybe, because these two could even function into here if we really wanted to make the argument. I mean, even Ninja could probably pop up there, but this is probably close to where I would have the current Gambit. Yeah, that feels right. Iceman, in my opinion, is a top 3. I'd probably put him like he can be somewhat matchup dependent, like Iceman into Shadow Thief, Iceman into Cursed Pirate, Iceman into Paladin can be a little challenging because of their defense. Iceman is really similar to Spider-Man. I think he just does it harder. He ultimately gains glide tokens and then can do 2 abilities a turn, and he could do it relatively consistently for relatively high damage. So, and his defense is strong, right? If you can upgrade his defense, it's already strong as a baseline, but if you can upgrade that, he's also really strong. So I'd probably have him right about here. This is probably right where I'd have Iceman. He's just really, really good as a character. Almost broken like Shadow Thief, just different styles of broken. Like Curse Pirate's defense is broken, Iceman's offense is broken, and then Shadow Thief's Into the Shadows is broken. So, and all of their defenses up top are good. So, Jean Grey is interesting. A lot of people are Jean Grey loyalists. I have her roughly in the middle of A tier, maybe even here, just because you have to know how to play her. She's not the most easy hero to play, but this is right around where I would have her. Maybe slightly here, but this is roughly where she lands. I've honestly never played a game with Jean Grey, but I have played against her a lot. Her ability to use undefendable damage makes her good into some of these S tiers. And then ultimately she has Jean Grey, and then on her next turn she flips to Dark Phoenix. And then Dark Phoenix, if you roll straights, it becomes undefendable damage. So that's kind of her whole gimmick is during Jean Grey turns, you build up economy, you build up some tokens, you inflict some burns, so on and so forth. And then when you flip to Dark Phoenix, you deal undefendable damage, and you can pump it up typically with some of the tokens that you have. So she is very, very strong. You have to know how to pilot her. She's not the easiest to pilot. She can whiff. So I kind of have her probably like right in here-ish, in middle of A, maybe high A even, just because of the undefendable scenario. So Psylock is just not that good. I think she's better than Captain Marvel, probably better than Scarlet Witch. Maybe, man, I don't know. Like this is all kind of similar stuff right in here. So let's put Psylock here. And honestly, she's getting the bump over some of these just because she's an X-Men. Her kit's cool. I feel like she should do well, but she just never quite does. And that's really all I have to say about Psylocke. She can be interesting in some matchups. Like she has an ability where she can inflict a token or inflict something where your opponent cannot gain a positive stat effect, I think, or inflict a negative. I don't really remember. I played with her a little bit. She's just slightly underwhelming right now. She just doesn't quite do enough damage. So Rogue is interesting. I'd probably have Rogue at low B. She has a lot of mechanics that are really good. She has lifesteal. She has evasiveness with flight, I believe. She has influence, which is a negative stats effect she inflicts on other heroes that makes it harder for them to roll. Iceman. Back to Iceman. He also has Dice Cube, which is another negative stats effect that's very, very suffocating when you play against him. Anyway, back to Rogue. I'd probably have her right in here. Maybe, yeah, this feels good. Maybe here. You know, just right in the B. She's solid. She's not high A. She's not S. She could be low A. She could be high B, mid B. She's kind of right in that mid-range hero. You can play her and win sometimes, but she's going to crumble to some of these S tier and some of these A tier matchups. Storm, you know, she wants to do well, but she's just so susceptible to status effects, so susceptible to she needs like a long time to set up. So a lot of these heroes up here are aggressive enough to where they're going to hurt you before you might pop off once with Storm per game, but these guys are going to kill you before it even matters, or the game's going to be so far out of reach before it even matters. If she could get set up a little faster, she would definitely be a lot better. But right now, she's just slightly underwhelming. There are games where I play against her and I'm like, damn, Wind Shear is crazy, or damn, she's popping off. But most of the time, if you're playing a slightly more aggressive hero or a mid-range, Storm just doesn't quite have enough opportunity to get set to really kind of overcome what you need to do. So, lastly, Wolverine. This is a hot take. I have Wolverine in high A, low S. I mean, I just think he is one of him and Gambit could probably coin flip, right? In my opinion, these are very similar builds and characters, but I probably have Wolverine in low S or high A simply because he does a lot of good stuff. He's a bruiser, mid-range, can hit hard, can heal, can sustain, can draw. You know, he's going to struggle into heroes like Cursed Pirate, where they can manipulate your discard, have you discard cards. He may struggle. He's going to struggle into Iceman because Iceman just does it a little bit better. and Shadow Thief with Into the Shadows. So like he's gonna struggle into some of these S tiers, but a lot of times, yeah. And because of that, I'm gonna actually move him down into like right here feels good. I think he really is just that good. So that's it, guys. So that's kind of my tier list currently. Just so I don't have anything in the not sure, I'm gonna move Seraphine just because I've literally never seen her played. I'm just gonna put her somewhere like right in here. So that's my tier list. That's what I feel the current meta is. These are really the top 5, and you could probably interchange, anyone from A in these top 5 to get your bring 3 ban ones. Sometimes you'll see some from the B tier. Most of the time, you don't see any from C or D tier. But yeah, this is generally where I see the meta at right now. So if you want to have more fun, play some of the S tiers if you like winning. And if you're not playing the S tiers because you don't like playing the meta, play the A tiers or high B tiers. After that, you're just not going to have as pleasurable of a time unless you really like the challenge and you like the grind and you like to say, hey, I beat you with Scarlet Witch or I beat you with Huntress. Because anyone below C tier and lower, they're not going to do well into A and S, even into top B. And I really think the defining line is probably right here. If I had to, I'd probably even move these here, and then that would probably be closer to what I would potentially consider bringing to a locals in my B, A, and S, and then what I typically just don't really touch right now or isn't really good into the meta. So, hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate you guys watching. If you disagree or agree, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to start a discussion to see if your opinions are slightly different, and we'll go from there. But thanks for watching.